Hey, Christy Mattoon here from Rewire. I am with you today to talk for just a few minutes, hopefully, about, I'm trying to remember the title of this thing now. Basically, about how to stop stress, how to become more aware. In 1 hour, it takes very little time to start a practice of awareness without a guru's help. Like it's something you can do on your own, which I think is vitally important. So I'd like to remind you, if you're here and you haven't subscribed to my channel, I greatly appreciate it. It always helps my standings and rankings. And you can always ding the bell if you want messages for when I do go live. And I'm about to start a 30-day challenge where I have to go live every day for 30 days. So that'll be fun. And as we go through everything and the different protocols and stuff that I use with my Rewire, hopefully it'll help you get to the place that you're trying to get to. And even just in your understanding, hopefully it'll help you understand. So what we're talking about today is how to become more aware. So what I'm going to show you right now is actually a process I use. You'll need a scrap of paper or a little card to write on. And this is going to help you become more aware not only of what you're thinking and where it's coming from, but how you feel. And then it's going to give you an avenue to decide how you want to feel. Because at the end of the day, it's the place that you want to get to that you should be focusing on. We shouldn't be focusing on the place that we are because you're just creating more of that if you focus on it too much. So we just want to bring it to awareness, use a process to get rid of it. Or to calm it down, and then really focus into the stuff that you're wanting to see and feel in your life, because that's the important stuff. So you're going to take this little card, right, your little piece of paper, whatever it is, and divide it into 3 sections. Okay, so you're going to divide it into 3 sections. In the first section, I put what I call symptoms. So symptoms are whatever it is you're struggling with. So it doesn't necessarily have to be physical. Hey, Lonnie, thank you so much. I actually just started this one, so that's too funny. Thank you for being here. The first column, you're going to write symptoms. And like I was saying, the symptoms don't necessarily mean like physical or illness. Symptoms can be anything. So think about something that you've been working on or something that you've been trying to get to the end of that's still a problem for you. So, the other day I was working with a lady and her thing was childhood issues, right? And that's a big one for most people. So you just write that at the top of your card, childhood issues. And then underneath that, you're going to write what it is you're struggling with. So for her, she was using words like self-worth. She didn't have any self-worth. She was using things like, I don't like myself. I don't know myself. She was struggling to figure out who she is as an adult because of her childhood stuff. So you're going to write down all those symptoms or issues in that area. So her self-defeating issues, all the thoughts, things, beliefs that you would think about, you're going to put into that box right there. Once you've got that written out, the next box over, you're going to write down how that makes you feel. So, and actually, we're probably going to divide this into another box. So how those make you feel, just because I want you to become aware of what that makes you feel like. And you can even write that in the same box if you want to, but just notice inside of you, when you're saying each one of those things, what does it feel like inside of your body, just so you can start to become aware of that. So how that makes you feel. And then in the next box over, you're going to write, what would I want instead? So literally in that next box, what do you want instead? If it wasn't a self-worth issue, what would you want? If it wasn't a self-defeating belief of whatever it is, she had a whole list of stuff. What would you want? One of her things was that she couldn't identify herself as an adult. How would you put, what do I want instead, to I can't identify myself as an adult? So she was writing things like, I want an identity. I want to know who I am. I want to know what I feel. That was kind of crazy cool to listen to as she was rolling through that. She was giving herself, in this awareness process, she was becoming more aware of not only what she didn't know, but things that she wanted to know. Your last column is going to be, what would that feel like? What would that feel like? So the third column was, what do I want to feel instead? My card's getting super messy. I'm not a very neat writer, so bear with me here. So the first column is your symptoms, and then if you want to write a little place over here, you can write how that makes you feel. Over here, you're going to write, what do I want instead? And then in the last column is, what does that feel like? So to the what do I want instead, now you're putting in, what does that feel like? What would that feel like? So if you could give yourself all these positive things, and those usually come in the form of affirmations, the ideas of things that you want, can you put a feeling to it? Can you think of a way to say, okay, this is what I would want that to feel like? And this is really hard for a lot of people, this feeling part. We can come with all kinds of wonderful words, come up with all kinds of wonderful words. But when I say, what would that feel like? Most people just kind of stop and stare at me. They're like, I don't know what that would feel like because I've never felt it before. How would I know? So here's how you can decide what it would feel like. Think of something that makes you feel really good. Think of a place you've been, maybe somebody you were with, a time when you were just like you just loved life. You loved yourself, right? I always go, my go-to place is in the top of Maine on a beach called, well, it's not really a beach. It's called Booth Bay Harbor. It's the end of a peninsula. And we used to go out there. I used to work there years and years ago when I was younger, quite a bit younger. And there was a picnic table out on the end of this peninsula, and there was like forest kind of all around you. And then off to one side, you could hear where the water would break up against the rocks. And if you looked into the sky as while we were laying on this picnic table, you look up in the sky, you literally could see the end of the galaxy. You could see the edge of the galaxy. And there was always shooting stars. Absolutely gorgeous, absolutely amazing. And when I put myself in my mind back on that picnic table, it's almost like I'm just melting back into the scenery there. I can hear the ocean, I can smell the salt water, I can smell the trees, I can see the sky and the shooting stars. And it just feels awesome. I get super light feeling. My body opens up, right? I feel better. My heart opens. What would it feel like to have all the things, all the symptoms in list number 1 changed into what would I want instead? For me, that's what that would feel like, is what I felt up there on the coast of Maine. So you don't have to come into a direct relation with like, okay, I had a horrible childhood and I didn't want that horrible childhood. Instead, I would want freedom. And you're trying to describe the feeling of freedom. You're trying to describe the feeling of knowing who you are as an adult. I have nothing to relate that to, but I can relate to the feeling of that coast in Maine, and it feels awesome. So I'm going to take that feeling, and if you're doing my protocol, you're putting it into a whole brain state, and then we're running it through the ladder of awareness. And you're going to put that feeling in and then label it what you want it to be. That's how we learned emotions to start with. Something happened, and somebody, if it was something that was funny and you started giggling and laughing as a kid, and somebody looked at you and said, oh, aren't you happy? Now you have a word to describe what happy was. Or if you fell down and got hurt, and your mother kind of wigged out and was like, oh no, are you hurt? Are you okay? Like, and then you knew something was wrong. That's how you labeled those feelings. So now as an adult, you can do it the same way. We just have to get a little bit creative. So you find something you like first, and then we're going to give it the label of whatever this is you're trying to create for yourself. For me, that picnic table in Maine, that is what freedom feels like. That is what happiness feels like. That is what joy feels like. That is what awe feels like. And when you can do that, when you can get to that place, now we're running that feeling through our system and encoding it and embedding it wiring it, programming it, whatever you want to call it, into every cell of your body. Because as far as I'm concerned at this point, your subconscious mind isn't just in your brain. In fact, it's not in your brain at all. It's every cell of your body, and it includes the system around you. It includes a system of the field of energy that makes up the world around us. And so we want to program that feeling for you, whatever it is, into the system so that you can find it and come back to it easily. Does that make sense? I'm not sure who curious looking inside is. Hey, though, I'm glad you're here. This is awesome. So use this process. Literally grab a card. The first column is your symptoms, the issues you're struggling with, whatever that is. You don't have to go crazy writing them all out in detail. You just kind of want the basics. You know, give yourself 4 or 5 to work on at a time. Notice how that makes you feel. Notice what that feels like. You want the contrast. And then the next column is, what do I want instead? What do I want instead? Write down what you would want instead. If you didn't have that stuff, what do you want instead? And then that last column is, what would that feel like? And like I was just explaining, how to find what that would feel like. If you really don't know what the good feelings are, go back and watch this video all the way through. Find a place and time, find somewhere you've been before that gives you the feeling that you want. And then we can watch some other videos after this one. I'm going to do a few more on this where we're beefing that video up. We're going to add layers to that good feeling. So I hope this helps. I hope this works. I will try and remember to put this step-by-step down into the description under here. And blessings and peace. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And always too, it's me. That's good. If you can share these videos, I really appreciate that too. All right, blessings and peace. I hope to see you again soon.